What I'm going to do is to take you through the work which we've done on updating the IDF work programme, and particularly on the strategic review and prioritisation exercise that we've carried out over the last approximately 2 years. Now, as part of the IDF strategy research, there were a number of areas which the board and the staff worked upon. A strategy for finance and funding, a strategy for influencing key opinion leaders outside the dairy world, a strategy for increasing the appreciation of IDF and the work we do with the leaders in our own sector, in the dairy sector, and the fourth one is the strategic review and the prioritisation of the work programme, and that's the one that I'm going to focus upon. In this strategy refresh, we identified the 4 key pillars, the 4 areas of focus which were of highest importance to us in IDF. I show them as 3 separate pillars underpinned by the area of standards, and Jeremy has already said the standards is not just product standards, there's a lot of other things which come in there as well. And my colleagues will go into a little further detail on all of these. I just want to say that there are lots of interlinks between these. They are not just 4 separate items, 4 separate areas. They're 4 strongly linked areas. You've seen this already, and at the bottom there you've got these key areas under which all of our IDF work comes. And we have 9 working areas. We've had these for a number of years now. And the sustainability standards, dairy safety and nutrition areas fit into all of these working areas. And in fact, this matrix of our 17 working groups at the moment, our standing committees, show that all their work items, and we didn't even find one work item, I think, which didn't fit in under one or other aspect of these. And as you can see, many of these are multiple ones. And in fact, we have now added the sustainability area into the areas that the Standing Committee of Marketing are working upon. Now, in undertaking this review process, we started by asking ourselves a number of questions as regards the items in our programme. What is the topic and why is it important to the dairy sector? Who is working on the topic? Who are the IGOs? Who are the key influencers? Who are the other public and private sector organisations working in these areas that we want to work with, that we want to influence, and so on? Very important one, asking ourselves, why should IDF work on this topic? Is it someone more suitable to somebody else? Is it somebody else that would be more suitable to work that we could cooperate with? And so on. And finally, what actions are needed to achieve the outcomes we require from each of these work items? Our challenge is that with a limited budget and full-time staff, we want to prioritise and progress a large and broad work programme. As Jeremy said, we've got over 100 work items. So we want to prioritise the top 4 to 6 items. Just says 5 there, but it can be anywhere between 4 and 6. Then to identify the next 10, and then to see where the other work programme items fit in under these. There's been quite a bit of sharing and communicating among ourselves. We do it a lot between the staff, the SPCC and the staff, and between the SPCC staff and board. We also communicate this to the IDF national secretaries and get feedback from them, and that helps us elaborate this even further. The national secretaries meet at the World Dairy Summits, and for the last number of years they also have a mid-term meeting, a physical meeting of the national secretaries. And the board and the SPCC and the staff meet with the national secretaries and share this with them, as well as other aspects of what IDF does. We also have meetings of our chairs and deputy chairs of IDF standing committees, the standing committees that you saw there earlier. We did this last year in Paris before Christmas, and we've done it again this week. In fact, this week we had that meeting before they held their meetings, so that they could then share it with their standing committee members. And at that, we seek their input and have feedback from them. And in fact, some of these individuals were working with us on developing our prioritization list. And we also, of course, share it and update our IDF General Assembly, which is our top governance body. We're trying to develop a new operating model to establish a strategic plan for 3 years, 2016 to 2018, based on the identified overall priorities that I'll take you through in a moment. Then from that, to develop an operational plan for each year, including the 4 to 6 priority items to showcase. And in that, we identify what output we need from each desired outcome of the work. What are the resources needed to achieve this? What is the timeline to achieve each output? And what should be the focus of the communication of the outputs from that work? Now, the matrix of our priorities 2016 to 2018 under the various focus areas, and I'm not going to go through all these in detail because my colleagues will be elaborating a bit more on these in the following presentations. But they include the socio-economic aspects of sustainability, environmental sustainability, promoting the dairy matrix, supporting optimal health, engaging in and explaining and promoting the important interface between nutrition and sustainability. In fact, in looking at nutritional sustainability. To promote the important contribution of the dairy sector in addressing micronutrition and undernutrition. Both aspects which are important even in countries which have obesity problems. Ranking and prioritizing the chemical, physical and biological hazards and indicators in the food safety area. Promoting best practices in animal health and welfare management. And that's particularly important in including in that the prudent and effective use of animal treatments. Engaging with standard setting bodies. We have been doing this quite some time and it remains a very important aspect of our work. Maintaining the capability to interact with Codex both proactively and reactively. IDF, for those of you who don't know, were very much involved in the foundation of Codex as setting up an international body. And we were participative in that from the start, and our involvement has always been acknowledged and appreciated by FAO and WHO, their joint bodies in that. And the final one is increasing the statistical and epidemiological resources which we have. These are areas where when you're involved in standards, when you're involved in methods of analysis and sampling, statistics and epidemiological knowledge is very important. Now, from that, we've looked at developing an operating plan for priority items for next year. And the criteria we've used for selection of these priorities, and these are not ranked 1, 2, 3, and 4, they're all equally important. But they are the potential impact of the work for the dairy sector. The alignment of those work items with the 4 strategic priorities. They don't have to cover 4 of them, they don't have to cover 3 of them, but they have to be well aligned with those strategic priorities. The potential for delivering our value to our members, to our stakeholders, and indeed to the consumers and peoples of the world. And finally, what are the resource requirements for IDF staff and budget? Because to implement this plan, we rely very strongly on the staff to make sure that these particular items, above all else, get the greatest attention. Now, my colleagues will outline what these priority items are, so I won't dwell on them now because you'll be hearing them again and they'll be covered by Jeremy at the end. But what are our next steps on this? The strategic program, together with the operational plan for 2016 priorities, has been now presented to the various meetings here in Vilnius and to the General Assembly yesterday. And I'm pleased to say that it has been well received by all of those bodies. Our communication efforts throughout the year shall be focused on the identified priority items throughout the year. And a comprehensive communication plan on the whole strategy refresh shall be developed, not just on the programme of work. And I'll finish at that point, but I want to acknowledge, because I'm at the end of my term, I want to acknowledge the contribution of my SPCC colleagues who have worked very hard and diligently over the 4 years. They have been rotated around, but the new members and the members who have suffered me for 4 years and the members who have joined, been members for some years and their terms of office have ended, have all done great work in this. We were a great team, I think, and hopefully our outputs will bear fruit in the years to come. I also want to thank the IDF staff, and through Nico, his staff, particularly his technical managers, and I want to acknowledge the support of the board, who were very much helpful to me in that area. With that, thank you very much for your attention.